The day my mother handed my $4 million company to my sister, she didn't raise her voice. She didn't apologize. She didn't even hesitate. She just slid the documents across the table, folded her hands like a judge who had already decided the sentence, and said calmly, "She has children, you don't. This is the fair thing to do." I smiled. Not because I agreed. Not because I understood. But because that smile was the moment I stopped being her daughter and started becoming her consequence. I built that company from nothing. Not with family money. Not with support. Not with shortcuts. I built it while sleeping on a borrowed mattress. While skipping meals so I could pay freelancers. While working 16-hour days and being told by my own family that I was obsessed, selfish, and wasting my life. My sister, Clara, never once asked how the company was doing. She never once read a contract. Never once attended a meeting. But she had children. And apparently, that erased everything I had done. My mother always loved Clara differently. Clara cried loudly. I learned to cry quietly. Clara failed, and it was forgiven. I failed, and it was remembered forever. Clara needed help. I needed to be strong. When Clara got married young, my mother said she was settled. When I delayed marriage to build a future, I was running away from responsibility. Still, I stayed loyal. Still, I stayed respectful. Still, I believed, stupidly, that love would eventually become fair. The company changed everything. Suddenly, the daughter who was too ambitious became useful. Suddenly, my calls were returned. Suddenly, family dinners were full of praise, never pride, just interest. How much is it worth now? Who are your investors? Do you really own all of it? I answered honestly. That was my first mistake. When my mother asked me to temporarily list her and Clara as advisory members for family security, I agreed. That was my second. And when she said, "Just trust me, I'm your mother," I signed. That was my last mistake. The meeting, where everything was taken from me, happened on a Tuesday. I remember because I wore my lucky blazer, the one I wore when we landed our biggest client. I thought we were discussing expansion. Instead, my mother cleared her throat and said, "We've made a family decision." Clara sat beside her, eyes lowered, hands folded over her stomach like a shield. The company should go to Clara. I laughed. I truly thought it was a joke. Then my mother said the sentence that split my life into before and after. "She has kids. You don't. This business should support a family." I looked at Clara. She didn't look back. Something inside me went quiet. Not angry. Not hysterical. Just still. I asked one question. "Did you even want this?" Clara whispered, "Mom said it makes sense." That was it. No gratitude. No acknowledgement. No shame. Just inheritance by reproduction. I smiled. I stood up. I said, "Okay." My mother looked relieved. Clara looked confused. They both thought they had won. What they didn't know was that the company they took was already moving away from them. Because while my name was no longer on the surface, my fingerprints were everywhere. The intellectual property, licensed under a separate entity. The core clients, contracted through personal relationships. The operational systems, built on tools only I understood. I had never planned for betrayal, but I had planned for independence. That night, I packed my apartment in silence. No dramatic calls. No angry messages. No tears in front of anyone. I moved into a small place across town and started over. Not from zero. From knowledge. For months, I watched quietly. Clara tried to run meetings she didn't understand. My mother interfered in decisions she had never studied. Employees started calling me, not to complain, but to ask questions. I answered politely. Briefly. Never emotionally. Then the first major client left. Then the second. Then a lawsuit landed, when I had warned them about months earlier. My mother called me for the first time in weeks. "Why didn't you tell us this could happen?" I said calmly, "I did." She paused. Then she said, "You should help your sister, for the children." I smiled again. This time, she couldn't see it. "I no longer work there," I said. "Remember." She hung up. The collapse wasn't dramatic. It was slow. Embarrassing. Public. Clara cried on social media about stress. My mother complained to relatives about ungrateful children. And I stayed silent. Until the day one of my former investors called. "We want you," he said, "not the company, you." 3 months later, I launched again. New name. Same brilliance. Better boundaries. Within a year, my new company surpassed the old one. Clients returned, not out of loyalty but competence. Employees followed, not because I asked, but because they trusted me. And then came the invitation. Family dinner. "Let's talk," my mother said. At the table, she looked smaller. Not older. Smaller. Clara didn't meet my eyes. My mother cleared her throat. "We made a mistake." I waited. "She wasn't ready. You were." I nodded. "We thought you'd understand," she added. I finally spoke. "You didn't choose her," I said softly. "You punished me." Silence. "I didn't lose a company," I continued. "I lost the illusion that love here was earned by effort." My mother started crying. I didn't stop her. I stood up, thanked them for dinner, and left. I didn't take revenge. I took my life back. And that smile I gave them that day, that wasn't forgiveness. It was closure.